The explosion shook Maple Ridge Estates like the 4th of July on a quiet Tuesday night, windows rattling, alarms blaring, and Karen Whitmore out front, hair half-fried, screaming about faulty firewood while a cloud of angry black smoke billowed out her perfect white chimney. I mean, you couldn't script a better scene if you tried. And the wildest part, I wasn't surprised not one bit, because I knew exactly how we'd gotten here. It started with a thief in the night, a nosy president, and a stack of firewood that went missing one log at a time. You ever catch someone stealing the very thing they fined you for owning? Yeah, that happened to me. Let me back up a sec. Before the fire, before Karen's meltdown, Maple Ridge was the kind of place where nothing ever happened. Cookie-cutter lawns, nosy neighbors, and the soft hum of suburban boredom. I moved in 8 years ago after my wife passed, looking for a little peace. Maybe somewhere the rules could keep things simple. Well, let me tell you, HOA rules don't keep things simple. They just give the loudest person in the room a megaphone. I mostly kept to myself doing freelance mechanical engineering, tinkering out back with my tools and stacking firewood every fall. Something about splitting logs felt honest. You know, I liked the neighbors well enough. The Millers next door brought pumpkin pie every Thanksgiving, and old Mr. Jenkins always waved as he watered his roses. It wasn't paradise, but it was home until Karen Whitmore moved in, blonde, mid-50s, always dressed like she was headed to court, even when she was just out walking her dog. Within a month, Karen became HOA president. No one even remembered voting, but there she was, clipboard and whistle in hand, running the place like a one-woman SWAT team. She had a thing for community standards, took pictures of mailboxes, measured grass, and sent out warning letters like it was an Olympic sport. First time she showed up at my door, she flashed a politician's smile and handed me a letter. Your woodpile violates community aesthetic standards. It's visible from the street. I just blinked. Karen, it's behind my shed. She tilted her head, all serious. Well, from certain angles it disrupts the neighborhood's symmetry. I almost choked. It's firewood, not a sculpture, I said, but she didn't crack a smile. 10 days to move it or face a fine, then she spun on her heels like she was dismissing a case in court. I didn't move the wood, just stacked it neater. I figured that was the end of it. I underestimated how much Karen hated being ignored. About a week later, I started noticing logs missing from my pile. At first, I thought maybe I miscounted, but after the third night in a row, each time about a dozen logs lighter, I knew someone was taking them. It was the principle, not the price, that got to me. I followed every silly rule, paid my dues, and someone was treating my yard like a free Home Depot. So I got clever, marked the ends of the logs with tiny notches, a trick from my days as a machinist, and rigged a little motion sensor light by the shed. Sure enough, the light snapped on late that night, and though I only caught a shadow, I noticed the grass near the gate flattened by what looked like, get this, high heels. In Maple Ridge, there's only one woman who'd sneak around in heels at midnight, and she lived 2 doors down. Next day, another letter. Your woodpile continues to violate HOA fire and visual appeal standards. Signed, President Karen Whitmore. The audacity. She was fining me for the same wood she'd been stealing. I called her number straight to voicemail. Later, as I drove by her house, I saw my notched firewood stacked neatly inside her front window. I stood there stunned. She was burning my logs, the same ones she claimed were a blight on the neighborhood. Now, I could have stormed over, but I've learned that people like Karen thrive on confrontation. They feed on drama. So I grinned and thought, okay, Karen, you want my firewood? Let's see how you like it. I pulled out my old sketch pad that night and started drawing not a blueprint for revenge, just a little lesson in consequences. I had some hollow logs from a project, leftover black powder from my July 4th experiments, and a fresh sense of creative mischief. But first I needed proof. I went full surveillance, 2 night vision cameras, one over the shed, one by the gate. A couple nights went by with nothing but raccoons and a stray cat. But then at 12:14 a.m. on the third night, my phone pinged motion detected. There was Karen in her beige coat and scarf, flashlight in hand, strutting right into my backyard and loading my marked logs into her SUV. She even whispered, "It's for the community anyway." I nearly died laughing. I watched that video a dozen times, savoring every frame, her smug face, the way she looked right into the lens without knowing. A normal person might have called the board or the cops, but Karen was a queen of technicalities. So I decided to set the scene: community, HOA meeting, front row seat. Karen strolled in late, coffee mug in hand that read, "Ber one boss lady." She launched right into her fire hazard speech about my yard. "I've documented the violation myself," she announced, trying to sound regal. I raised my hand. "Karen, may I speak?" She smirked. "Of course, Tom, but keep it brief." I just leaned in. "You said you documented my firewood in the last 48 hours, right?" She nodded, clearly enjoying herself. "Funny, because half of it's been stolen in that exact time frame." The room went silent. "And I installed cameras after the second theft." Her face drained of color. "Guess who showed up on video?" She sputtered. "That's invasion of privacy." I smiled. "On my property, facing my wood pile, perfectly legal. Want to see the footage?" Gasps. She blustered, but I held up my phone, ready to play the clip. She stormed out, promising revenge. The tide had turned. For a few days, things were quiet. Then came a fresh citation for unauthorized security installations visible from the street. The cameras. Karen was doubling down. That's when I knew it was time for phase 2. I built 3 hollow logs, each packed with a little black powder, enough for a dramatic pop and a plume of smoke. Nothing dangerous, just a jolt. I disguised them with ash, stacked them among the real wood, and waited. Sure enough, 5 nights later, Karen's flashlight bobbed through my yard, her SUV idling by the curb. She took the bait, loaded up my special logs, and drove off into the night. That evening, I watched Mythbusters, barely paying attention, until boom. Then another louder boom. Then the sound of Karen shrieking, "Oh my God!" Smoke was pouring from her chimney, neighbors flocking to the street phones, out faces lit by the drama. Karen, hair frizzed, silk robe scorched, was yelling at the firefighter. It just exploded. The firefighter, deadpan, suggested maybe she'd bought bad wood. I didn't buy it. I sourced it locally," she stammered. I couldn't help but grin. Sourced. That's one way to put it. By morning, the neighborhood group chat was blowing up. Everyone had a theory. Karen's fireplace exploded. "Did you see the sparks? Hope she's okay." I texted, all innocent. By noon, the fire inspector was there, poking around with a couple of HOA board members and Karen's sunglasses and a hat pulled low as if she could hide from the world. I strolled over, coffee in hand. "Rough night, Karen." She snapped. "You think this is funny? I could have been killed." "Good thing you weren't," I said evenly. "Maybe be careful where you get your firewood." She flushed. "Are you accusing me?" "Oh, I don't know. Sometimes free wood comes with surprises." The fire inspector cut in. Said a few logs contained fireworks material. Karen tried to pin it all on me. "He did this. He booby-trapped the firewood." The board and neighbors stared. I just shrugged. "That's a bold accusation, Karen, especially since you just admitted the wood came from me." She faltered. You can't prove." "Want to see the footage?" I asked, waving my phone. On screen, Karen, midnight, clear as day, stealing my wood. Right then, a sheriff's deputy showed up, Officer Ramirez, level-headed as always. Karen begged him to arrest me for sabotage. I handed over the footage. Ramirez watched, then looked at Karen. "Is this you?" She tried to deny it. "Same clothes, same license plate. This is trespassing and theft." Ramirez sighed. No one's pressing criminal charges yet, but any further incidents, it's official. Karen was furious, sputtering threats about lawsuits and vendettas. The crowd was done with her. Mrs. Beasley, the treasurer, even whispered, "Not anymore she doesn't," as Karen ranted about running the neighborhood. 3 days later, a formal notice arrived, summons to a special HOA hearing accusing me of endangerment, unauthorized cameras, everything but the kitchen sink. I laughed so hard my coffee nearly came out my nose. "Fine, you want a showdown? Let's dance." I brought everything: camera footage, fire inspection reports, screenshots from the group chat. The clubhouse was packed. Even the nosiest neighbors came out for the drama. Karen tried to turn the tables, claimed I was reckless, malicious, a menace. I took my time, walked through the facts. Explosion happened in your fireplace using wood stolen from my yard. Want to see the video again? On screen. Karen in full moonlight caught red-heeled. The room erupted. Karen tried to deflect. "This is all part of your vendetta." "People don't hate you because you enforce rules, Karen," I said quietly. "They hate you because you make them up." That landed. The board called an emergency vote. One by one, hands went up. Karen was out relieved of duty on the spot. She grabbed her purse and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The room burst into applause. After that, Maple Ridge changed. The letters stopped. The rules relaxed. Neighbors talked, waved, laughed again. Even Mr. Jenkins stopped by. That was one hell of a fireworks show, son. The annual barbecue returned, and I got to be honorary grill master. Oh, the irony. Karen, meanwhile, launched a one-woman PR campaign, flyers, angry posts, wild conspiracy theories. She even tried to protest with handmade signs, but the new board used her own rules against her and had them removed. Eventually, Karen moved out. Her for sale sign went up, the moving truck rolled in, and the whole neighborhood turned out to watch her go. She glared at us, shouting, "You haven't seen the last of me. If I do, I'll install another camera." I called back, earning a round of laughter. As she sped off, you could feel the neighborhood exhale like we'd all been holding our breath for years. Funny thing, about a month after she left, she came by to pick up some old decorations. She was quieter, smaller, tired. We talked not as enemies, but just two people who'd finally reached the end of a long, ridiculous war. "You made me the joke of this town," she said. "You did that yourself," I replied. She paused, nodded, and left without another word. Now every autumn I sit by my fire pit, real wood this time, I promise, listening to neighbors laugh about the great firewood explosion. Even the newcomers know the legend. And sometimes as the flames flicker, I realize it wasn't about revenge, it was about restoring a little balance, reminding people that respect goes both ways. So let me ask, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed the ride, don't forget to subscribe. Because around here, one thing's for sure, karma always collects, and Maple Ridge will never run out of stories.